Sorry, everyone, we're having a bit of some technical issues. Just give me a second to sort this out.
My name is Namtebi Helen. I am the boss of Eden Modern Restaurant. There was a time when they told us to do our dream. That was my dream. I went to Postbank. I took my plan, my business plan. It went through. Then after a short period, I got the money. I invested in the restaurant. And it is because of EAP, because of that training we went through.
The East Africa Youth Inclusion Program supports 25,000 young people between the ages of 15 to 24. We equip them with the abilities of either starting up their own small business within the agribusiness sector, or that they can be employable.
There was no eggs in our community. So I decided, when I had that EAP can train us poultry, I joined. I was working in Dubai as a housemaid. When I come back, I didn't have a single K in my pocket. Life was so hard, but now I'm self-employed. I have my business.
Seeing people either build a business or working towards having a job so that they can live a dignified life. That's what the East Africa Youth Inclusion Program is all about.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this exciting event on positioning African youth to transform food systems through technology. And before we start, I would like to welcome the Country Director for Heifer Kenya, George Odhiambo, to give us the opening remarks. George, welcome.
Thank you very much, Leticia, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this interesting session. As a background, the agricultural sector is yet to fully exploit the potential of youth. So there are major underlying issues that deter youth from engagement in the sector. Some of these include lack of access to land, lack of access to finance, insurance, and also lack of skills and access to extension services, and also the use of innovative technologies and markets. So we have a small and decreasing number of young people engaged in the agricultural sector, which is a signal of distress in this sector. While at the same point, we understand that the youth offer a dynamic and innovative workforce. They have a huge uptake of technology and also the ability to take on significant risk. So the future of agriculture sector will actually rely on the youth, and agriculture presents a significant opportunity for the creation of employment to absorb the youth and also ensure food security in the future. Now, as you'll learn from the discussion from our various panelists here, Heifer already does work in agriculture, for instance, under the East Africa Youth Innovation Project in Uganda and Tanzania. We are working to equip youth with skills to establish businesses around agricultural hubs. We are also working to improve youth livelihoods, create employment, and also develop long-term businesses and sustainable business. Thank you, Leticia, and I look forward to this discussion as it unfolds. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, George. And as you rightly put, my name is Leticia Mpuya, and I'll be your facilitator this morning. Before we go ahead to listen to what our president and CEO, as well as the senior vice president for Heifer in Africa, have to tell us, I would just like to highlight that to you that we have a very good agenda for you this morning. And also we are going to learn a lot on from the assessment report that has been done by HEFA regards youth engagement in agriculture and the challenges that they're facing. And we have a team of panelists who will be discussing different issues, answering questions and answers. And if you have a question, you can easily put it in the chat box down there, and it will be addressed to that particular person. Now we will hear what our president and CEO has to tell us as well as the SVP.
HEFA International is a global development organization on a mission to end hunger and poverty in a sustainable way. We work with smallholder farmers, equipping them with the tools they need to end hunger and poverty in their communities. We provide farming inputs such as livestock and seeds for fodder, as well as animal management and business training. We also invest in cooperatives and infrastructure, connecting farmers to markets and building business ecosystem with farmers and food producers at their center. For over 4 decades, HEFA International has been a trusted partner for smallholder farmers across Africa. Now we're eager to support them by accelerating the exciting convergence of tech entrepreneurship with agriculture's immense opportunities. Whether through apps, drones, tractors, or other tech, Africa's young creative professionals are deploying tech innovations that are reimagining farming and food production across the continent. They know the farming struggles of their parents' generation may have discouraged many of their peers, but they still believe farming can provide a promising future for their generation because they have fresh ideas for how an occupation often associated with hardship can be productive, profitable, stimulating, and rewarding. Despite the impact of the global pandemic, we believe there are many reasons to be optimistic about the future of African agriculture and African youth. And we're excited to share some of these with you today.
HEFA has been working in Africa in the last 45 years. We are working in over 11 countries in the continent. And our passion is really to ensure that smallholder farmers are able to reach a living income, that the income generated across the value chain is equitably distributed, that our food systems are inclusive, and that farmers can live a dignified life. In the process of working in the continent, however, the issues around youth and youth employment cannot be overemphasized. Right now, our population stands at 1.2 million people. Over 60% of that population is below the age of 25. By 2050, we expect to have over 800 million young people living on our continent. And the World Bank predicts also that by 2035, we will need over 430 million jobs for the youth in our continent. With the bulging youth population and the issues of unemployment with the young people, we now also have the scenario where we have an agricultural sector with the world's largest arable land for farming, but also a sector that is underproducing. We have the lowest productivity per hectare in our continent. We have an aging smallholder farmer population who currently account for 60% of the food on our table. So here we are with a sector that could create jobs and transform the continent and improve our GDP. However, the future workforce for that sector is unwilling to go into the sector simply because the sector itself is not attractive and is not considered to be a career for the future. And this, for us in HEFA, we saw these two challenges as the dynamics that if brought together effectively and leveraged through technology can actually become an opportunity. And that is the reason why we embarked on the research that we had done recently across 11 countries in the continent, so that we can begin to understand from the ground up the challenges hindering the youth from embracing agriculture as a future career, and the problems hindering smallholder farmers from being able to reach the fullness of their potential. One of the things that we learned from that report is the impact of COVID. You see, COVID has helped us to not learn something we did not know before, but has really brought it more to light. And that is the fact that our smallholder farmers and even the youth in Africa are really separated by the digital divide. So as the world went into isolation, smallholder farmers and the markets that they work with had no means of staying connected. So the rest of the world was able to get online, sit on Zoom calls, go back to business as usual, leveraging technology. Smallholder farmers and the communities where they live and work do not have those privileges because they are living in low infrastructure environments. And this, of course, meant that the impact of COVID on their businesses was really severe. The report revealed that only 23% of the youth working within this space had access to relevant technology to work with. This means that there is so much that needs to be done for Africa to leapfrog, leveraging technology platforms that will keep farmers connected and enabling them to continue business and to continue to interact with the rest of the world is extremely important, and that is one of the things that this report also showed. The need also to make the sector more technology enabled so that the young people who are passionate about wanting to work in agriculture can also be able to bring in their tech passion into the sector and solve the problems that are needed across the sector to make smallholder farmers remain connected to the markets that they serve. This technology must be compatible with the smallholder farmers' challenges, with their level of education, with the price point that the smallholder farmer is able to afford, to ensure that it's a sustainable solution and not a solution that is not sustainable or not suitable for that environment where these farmers live and work. There is a lot of opportunity for young Africans to become the solution to the problems and challenges that we face, ensuring that their voice is strong at the policy table, creating the right kind of policy environment for them to have access to land, for them to also have financing that supports their startup ideas, meeting them exactly where they are at, and tailored to suit the uniqueness of their business startup situation is critical for success. To drive this transformation, the report has clearly shown that the youth are passionate, willing to leave the urban areas to come back to the rural area, or require the support and the enabling environment for them to be able to do so. Addressing weather conditions is also critical. because that also from the report showed that it contributed 30% to the challenges farmers are facing in terms of productivity. And technology and innovation can address this. New technology and innovation work being done by organizations like Inesha and a few others around ensuring that farmers can get SMS text messaging that gives them appropriate weather forecasts and supports them also to know when to plant and when to sow their seeds and etc. is also very important to happen. The type of innovation that we need in the continent is one that is not just looking at the production side, but is also looking at every aspect of the work across the value chain and supporting the farmers from the seed production to the harvest to the storage. These types of innovation will ensure that farmer productivity also can be increased and farmers can also make a reasonable, sizable income from the work that they do. We believe that there are lots of possibilities. So even within the challenges that this report has unveiled, the work that is happening with young Africans across the continent is very inspirational. From Ghana to Kenya to Senegal to Tanzania to Zimbabwe to Rwanda, there are young Africans that have already taken up the challenge to leverage technology to address problems that farmers are facing at the farm level. From drone technology to all kinds of new data gathering that enables farmers to not only have access to capital, but also have the necessary information that they need to be able to improve their productivity. This has inspired us in Heifer to understand that as long as we can come together and support these young innovators, providing the necessary enabling environment for them to grow their business ideas and innovative financing to fund them at different stages of their ideas and able to support these ideas and take them to scale. We believe that our young Africans are definitely going to be the solution that Africa needs to unlock the opportunity we see in our agriculture.
Thank you very much, our President and CEO, as well as the Senior Vice President for Heifer in Africa for setting the stage for this event. You have been able to highlight the key findings from the assessment report that was done recently by Heifer, and this will enable us to discuss fully and be able to have actionable solutions and chart new pathways to the future of food, fundamentally heralding a generational shift or in African agriculture. With that, I would like to welcome the panelists to this event. As I mentioned before, we have 4 panelists who will introduce themselves before we go ahead. William, welcome.
Thank you very much, Letitia. Glad to be here. And William Matova, my name. I work for Heifer International in Uganda.
Thank you, William. Penina Wanja.
Thank you. My name is Penina Wanja. I'm the founder and MD, Farming Tech Solution, but we are popularly known as Digical. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Penina. Mwai.
Thank you very much. I'm Mwai Chitete. I'm the country director for Heifer International Malawi. I'm glad to be here to discuss with my fellow panelists.
Thank you, Mwai. And finally, Eurabina. You're muted. Eurabina, you're muted.
Hi, my name is Irabna Nyanyi Akofu. I'm the interim country director for Heifer Ghana, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Letitia.
Thank you very much. So let's dive straight in. This question goes to Penina regards technology. So as a young entrepreneur and working in the agriculture space, how have you experienced the power of technology and innovation in your workspace in agriculture? Penina.
Okay, thank you. I'm an entrepreneur in the agricultural sector, and I'm using IT to deliver what farmers need. In my course of work, I've come to realize that using technology, you are more efficient, you are more effective, you're able to reach out to a wider number or to a larger number of farmers in a very cost-effective way. Using technology, we are able to actually reduce our operation costs, our marketing costs, and also the time we use. In addition to this, we work with partners, and these partners have also reported a reduction of the time in reaching out to the farmers, and they are also able to reduce the cost of reaching out to the farmer. And currently, it's very low. It's actually below $1 USD, reaching out to a farmer. And we also have other partners like the government who gets real-time report of what you're doing. So instead of the government waiting for months and days to get a report of what is happening on the ground, they are able to get it in real time. And using this technology, we have seen that every person in the ecosystem is able to actually improve on their efficiency and effectiveness in delivery of services to the small-scale farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Penina, for the response that you have given to us. Now, moving ahead in the country-specific specifics that we have, Rabina, in Ghana, how is technology bridging the gap between agriculture and innovation? And what role has Heifer International played in Ghana?
Thank you, Letitia. So in Ghana, the digital growth has been largely influenced by high mobile penetration, and also tech innovations have helped to improve the process in other aspects of livelihood, especially when we talk about agri-tech. Some notable innovations I have had the opportunity to work with is the Farmer Line and also AgroInnova. And also the Ministry of Food and Agriculture have the e-agriculture program, which is aimed at improving communication and learning process of actors in the agriculture value chain. However, despite all the growth that we have seen in agri-tech over the last decade, everybody believes that there is more that could be done to improve and transform agriculture. A recent survey, that is the Ghana Agricultural Census Survey, actually revealed that 70% of our farmers in Ghana are using rudimentary technology. And we also see many examples of technology and innovations that have been piloted under project, which did not continue when project ended, or the innovations could not be scaled up. And so for us in Heifer Ghana, our focus on two key things over the next decade, among others. One, we want to support the process of uncovering and bringing to market homegrown technology and innovations, especially to address the issue of climate change for smallholder farmers, and also reduce the physical effort that is required to increase productivity and income. We also want to be part of the movement to elevate agriculture as a desirable occupation also for young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabina. Now we'll move straight into Uganda and hear about their perspective as well. Over to you, William.
Thank you very much, Letitia. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world on this call. Yeah, that's an exciting question that you ask, Letitia. I mean, in a general sense, from the Uganda perspective, we see that there's an increasing appetite of using of technology in the agricultural systems. It's not yet at the level where we want it, but the interest is beginning to pick up. Either farmers or young people organize in WhatsApp groups, and that's part of tech to really engage in agriculture. But in some cases, we're also seeing that good technologies or tools are being applied, and those are changing around the ag ecosystem or the agribusiness ecosystem. From the heifer perspective, I'll give you a classic example. By just introducing a milk cooler to the organized farmers who are in a cooperative, we've been able to cut on post-harvest losses. And in a few months, close to about 4 to 4 months of installing that cooler to do primary value addition, you drive the price of a liter of milk from just about close to about 4 cents, 2 cents, to about 28 cents. And we've seen that since we're implementing our daily program in 2008 up to now. Currently, a liter of milk is costing about 40 cents, 28 cents, depending on the season. But just because you introduced a milk cooler and farmers are able to aggregate, chill, and subsequently that then changes the game plan of how the overall value chain is structured, improving linkages to off-takers, ensuring that there is a hub of services whereby farmers can now start investing in growing improved fodder, and then feed their animals better, and then increase production and productivity, and subsequently their incomes are increasing. On the other front, we see that because of the current climate change, we're working with young smallholder farmers in the northern part of the country, and working together with PULA and the Agriculture Insurance Consortium. We supported young people to be able to insure their crop. Interestingly, last season, the weather was bad and many people lost their crop up in the north. But because of the index insurance premiums that these young people took, they are not incurring 100% loss. They will be paid back percentage of their loss. So that then shows you how the technology landscape can really be very interesting and can change around the livelihoods of the smallholder farmers that we work with. Thank you, Leticia.
Thank you, William. Why do you have anything to add from the Malawi perspective?
Yes, thank you very much, Leticia, for that question. So Malawi is not lagging behind. Malawi has also embraced the technology world. As Heifer Malawi, we are supporting smallholder farmers using technology to increase their productivity and also production, so that their incomes can also increase. We are also mindful that as we are doing this, we take care of the environment by supporting farmers with technologies that can help in terms of managing the effects of climate change that is affecting them significantly. We introduced the use of solar-powered milk chilling tanks in some of the communities where heifer is operating. And we saw a significant reduction in terms of the milk which was being wasted. We were able to reduce the wastage by 8%. This has been done especially in communities where the milk bagging groups, these are milk collection centers in Malawi, that are powered by diesel, and also in collection centers that are off-grid. You might be aware that in most countries in Africa, the national grid or power from the national grid is not that reliable. Malawi is one of the countries that is also affected by power outages. So even the groups that we are supporting, they also experience a lot of power outages that affects the product that they are producing, which is milk. Apart from supporting these farmers with the solar-powered chilling systems, we have also been involved in working with young entrepreneurs. We have Chiweto. This is an agri-tech which was founded by a young Malawian, and we have been able to support farmers with access to information on business, information on how they can find finance for their businesses, information with regards to extension in the face of COVID. So using the platform, this digital platform, we have been able to monitor what the farmers are even doing on the ground with regards to the project that we are implementing, which focuses on value chain financing. We have been able to collect data remotely using the platform that I've just talked about. Soon we want to explore the possibility of using advanced technology. We are looking at blockchain, using what we are calling DAO. DAO is decentralized autonomous organizations. We believe that using DAO, we will be able to improve governance in cooperatives that we are working with. We will also be able to support farmers. You might agree with me that most of the farmers in African countries, they do not have title to land. So Malawi is one of the countries where farmers lack such services. As a result, they have been sidelined in terms of access to finance. Thank you very much, Letitia.
Thank you very much, Mwai. And thank you everyone for bringing out to light the way some of the smallholder farmers and HEFA are embracing the use of technology in agriculture. However, Eurabina, can you now tell us why is Africa behind on the use of technology compared to the other parts of the world? The use of technology in agriculture.
Yes, Letitia, thank you very much. So it is worth to note that a 2020 World Bank report suggested that if farmers in Africa will be able to adopt technology and innovation, the continent could make $1 trillion by 2030. But at the moment, we have a challenge when it comes to the ease of use of technology and also affordability. Talk about solar, talk about irrigation, mechanized and automated agriculture, biotechnology, digitization, among others. These technology is not accessible by smallholder farmers and even young men and women who are starting businesses in farming. Currently, no more than 5 to 6% of Africa's cropland is irrigated, despite our potential to be able to expand irrigation on the continent. And with the right technology, it is estimated that an additional 96 million hectares in sub-Saharan Africa can be irrigated by smallholder farmers. Potentially, this can benefit up to 369 million people. Talk of mechanization, we are the least mechanized agricultural systems in the world. And according to another report by the African Agriculture Technology Foundation, Africa farmers have only 1/10 the amount of mechanized tools per farm area than farmers in other parts of the world. And so that, and also even with access to growing at a very slow rate. And so these challenges, when we talk about affordability, when we talk about ease of use, is what is contributing to setting us back when it comes to adoption of technology. And I hope that Penny will share some more examples, some practical examples with us. Let's talk about, for example, climate change management systems. Most of our smallholder farmers in Africa are illiterate or have very little education. And most of the technology that we have when it comes to climate change management system is developed in English. How do you explain to the farmer precipitation is 2%, humidity is 64%, or wind is 5 kilometers per hour? Farmers do not understand that. And sometimes even translating that information into local dialect is not easy because there is not a direct translation when it comes to words. And so that makes it very difficult when it comes to the ease of the use of the technology that we have. So as a continent, I think that we need to be more critical of ourselves in terms of where we are coming from, what we have achieved so far, and what it will take for us to get to where we need to be in the next 2 decades or by 2050. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabina, for bringing that up. And that takes me to Penina, and I'm wondering, as a young entrepreneur, a young lady, why did you venture in agriculture despite all those challenges that have been highlighted from our report and by the panelists, your fellow panelists? So why did you venture in agriculture? Penina?
Okay, thank you. I would say I ventured into agriculture because of passion. And this passion, I developed it right from a very early age as a child. I normally say I come from a farming family, and my mother was a small-scale farmer with just one cow, which I can say was poorly managed, but I used to love the cow. And after finishing my Form 4, I naturally chose to do agriculture extension. And at this juncture, I remember there's an aunt who came home just to sweet talk me not to do agriculture and to do law. But I was adamant. I knew I wanted to be in agriculture. And upon graduation, I got a job with the government as an agricultural extension, working with the small-scale farmers, helping them try to increase their production and profitability. And this is when I identified the opportunity where you can use technology so that you can leverage and help the farmer improve on their production and profitability. Thank you.
Sorry,
Leticia, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Penina, I was saying, what needs to change now as far as engaging youth in agriculture is concerned, so that we have more youth who are passionate about agriculture as you are?
That's a good question. And this is something I normally wonder whenever I look at the figures of the farmers who are farming in Kenya. We are told that over 60 years and above, yeah, they're the majority of the farmers. So we require the youth to actually adopt and start doing agriculture. Reason being, the youth are very agile, they are now more educated, and they're energetic. So for the youth to be attracted to agriculture, a few things need to happen. I like the way the Kenyan education system is taking shape through a system we call CBC, where children are being exposed to these activities from an early age and are able to identify their passion quite early. So exposing the children to simple tasks so that they can see that agriculture can be an actual business and not something you farm and you get tired and you get nothing. Secondly, the government can also invest in hubs, like the technological hubs, where these youth can actually be going there to learn more what is happening and also to gain mentorship. There's also a big constraint when it comes to youth engaging in agriculture, one of it being the land ownership. And it's the high time we get a system where the government supports the youth, regardless of whether they have the land or not. A land policy that will allow the youth to actually utilize the land. There's also financing, cheap financing that can also attract the youth. Agriculture is an actual business and it requires capital. It is also capital intensive. So the youth requires to be given capital that is quite affordable and that does not require collateral. The other key issue is about affordability of, let's say, taxes, the mechanization, affordability of things that the youth require so that they can be able to do agriculture, and especially mechanizing. Because there's a lot of labor currently that is involved, and also labor is also quite expensive, and this also puts off the youth. But working with the youth currently through digital, we have seen the youth becoming a major bridge between the older generation and the technology. And as the youth assist the farmers to actually get services using the digital platform, we are coming to realize that most youth are also becoming very attracted. And they now start using the digital platform to practice and start farming. So there's a lot that can be done so that the youth can find agriculture more attractive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Penina. With that, I would like to connect with William from Uganda so that you can tell us what has been done in Uganda through the East Africa Youth Inclusion Project in addressing some of the challenges that have been mentioned by Penina, and also some of the challenges that have been highlighted from the assessment report that, done by HEFA recently. William.
Thank you very much, Letitia, and thank you, Penina. Penina is exactly spot on as a young entrepreneur. So we co-created the East Africa Youth Inclusion Program, which is called EAP, in collaboration with the MasterCard Foundation, and that program is a 5-year program. We started implementing it way in 2016, and we are targeting 2 countries, Uganda and Tanzania, really focusing on supporting 25,000 young people aged between 15 to 24 to get to work. Of course, there were 2 cohorts, because there's a cohort between 15 to 18, which is usually by most of our East African laws are not supposed to be employed. So that cohort was meant to ensure that we could call it an onboarding. In other words, you focus on supporting them to really get access to soft skills, so that by the time they come to the age of employability, they are really ready to go into employment. So the focus was largely skilling young people on especially soft skills, and the soft skills I mean, how do you communicate better, negotiate, those kind of stuff, present yourself, and then we also focused on enhancing their technical skills, for those who wanted to go into certain technical vocational trades, in addition to focusing on entrepreneurship and business skills, and also equipping them with financial literacy skills. And that program has given us a lot of learnings in Uganda. In Uganda, we focus on both on-farm and off-farm, engagements with young people. So, some of the learning we're drawing from that program is that the young people are really interested in getting in agriculture. Like Penina said, if certain fundamentals are put into place. Number one, if they get supported to ensure that their skills gap can be bridged, and I've talked about those sort of skills that most of the young people are lacking: the soft skills, the technical skills, the entrepreneurship skills, and in many respects, the financial skills. Okay, and so we've seen that by bridging up those skills, young people can really be able to start up small businesses, or some of them really can be able to get the skills so that now they can be employed by those who have the jobs. Now that they are ready to go to work, to a number of employers or entrepreneurs. So the program has really given us great learnings, and some of the things which we're also picking out is that engaging and deeply involving the private sector is central to really bridging the employment gap. Because I'll give you an example. In my country, if you look at the unemployment rates, we require, and the World Bank gives these figures, we require to be creating 600,000 jobs per annum if you have to bridge the unemployment gap. But the only available jobs right now, formal jobs, are about 80,000 jobs. So 80,000 versus 600,000. Okay, you can see how many miles we need to travel. So for us, this has been a learning space whereby, based on the things which we've learned, we're ready to partner to be able to take this initiative to scale. And again, like I've said, our learning is that the private sector is central to really drive and create those opportunities. Number two, we're also learning that getting access to cheap finance is very important for these young people to take them to work or to be able to create opportunities. And there are certain also other pieces which are coming through. Lack of access to productive resources like land is very central and critical. And again, even in our study, the data picks it up that 55% of the young people who were interviewed in Uganda lack access and ownership of land. So land is very central. So the thinking is that how do we need to work on those initiatives that can enable young people get access to land, if at all they can get into agriculture. So bridging the skills gap, ensuring that you put the private sector on board, it's central, affordable finance, and also working on the other ecosystem aspects, like, again, like Penina said, mentorship and incubation. Those are really central things to focus on if we're really going to pull young people, in the ag space, and if we're really going to create meaningful jobs for those young, aspiring, entrepreneurs. Thank you, Letitia.
Thank you very much, William. And with that, I have a follow-on question to that, and I would like to hear from you and later on from Mwai. We are currently in facing pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic situation in all countries. And we would like to know what agribusinesses, what are we doing to help farmers, particularly the youth now, we have been working with to address the challenges that they have in participating in agriculture, and yet the COVID-19 now struck. So what are we doing to recover post-pandemic to enable the youth to bounce back and do business in agriculture and do agribusiness as before?
Thanks, Letitia. I think no doubt, like everywhere in the world, COVID has had drastic, impacts across communities, economies, and in all our countries. After the first lockdown, that's after the first lockdown which we experienced as a country, that's around May, June, we undertook a COVID adaptation study to understand how COVID has impacted on young people, smallholder farmers, and agribusinesses. And the data and the figure which we noted out was that 50% in fact, most of the respondents indicated that their incomes dropped by 50%. Okay, we have a very classic example: a young person out there in the rural area of central Uganda who is engaged in doing a business of collecting and aggregating milk from farmers and then transport it to the collection center. And every day he was collecting close to about, before COVID, 250 liters. When COVID stuck and the lockdown came up, the guy, and by collecting those liters of milk, he was able to charge close to about, 80 shillings. In other words, per day was making close to about $5 US in total as part of his income. When COVID came up and lockdown came into place, the guy's income ran down to $3 per day. So in other words, he was only able to transport about 180 liters of milk. Okay, so you can imagine, to that young person, the needs remain the same, but his income has dropped to that level. Okay, that has had a very drastic impact. We also got stories whereby farmers lost either their crop or their animals, just because they were not able to get access to extension services. And remember, in my country, the extension worker to farmer ratio is 1 to 1,800. Okay, now imagine with the lockdown, whereby there's even no attempt to be able to get access to those extension workers. So it becomes very challenging to these young people and also smallholder farmers. So the key learning that we noted is that technology is central to ensuring that we can bridge up some of those challenges. And some of the things which now we are working on is to ensure that we can support farmer agribusinesses to put into place digital extension systems. Okay, so instead of waiting to extension worker, how can you invest and make use of the phone as a tool to serve you to get access to information, to serve you to get access to buying or purchasing inputs and services, so that in real time you can get access to inputs and services which you need in your production enterprises. So from our side, technology and especially digitalization of the production systems and extraction system is going to be very central moving forward. And currently we're having discussions with very interesting African agri-tech companies like Kuza, which are providing a digital field force, and Hero Tractor, which is providing mechanization to support farmers get access to tractors so that they can be able to improve acreage that they're opening up. And in some cases, we're also looking at discussing with entities like cold hubs and other solar companies, which are able to provide efficient cooling systems for farmers so that they can improve post-harvest handling for their crops which they're harvesting out in the rural areas. So technology digitalization is the way to go as part of the solution to address especially the impacts which were brought about by COVID, as I've articulated them. Thank you, Letitia.
Okay. Thank you, William. And are we also thinking about enabling the youth or smallholder farmers to be insured? Because in times like this, if times like this happen, they are insured or have a risk guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's one of the areas where we're also thinking up. Again, like I indicated earlier on, we have an initiative up in the northern part of Uganda where we're working with young farmers to invest in the soybean agribusiness. In other words, some of them are growing and then they're aggregating it under their soybean agri hub, which they have set up. And some of the things which I'm also thinking of is to do value addition so that they can further create opportunities for other young farmers. But on that initiative, what we've done is that we've supported those young people to take up an index insurance premium, working with an insurance company called Puna, and in collaboration with the Agricultural Insurance Consortium of Uganda. And the piece which we discussed in that season was really cover risk of loss due to climate change issues, drought, floods, and etc. But yes, I agree with you. I think going forward, some of the things which we also need to discuss with insurance companies, with financials, is that how can we start integrating insurance products, especially as a result of having disasters like COVID, so that farmers can now start doing farming as a business, and the amount of risk of loss can be reduced as much as possible.
Yeah, thank you very much, William. Mwai, do you have anything to add from the Malawi context? Mwai?
Yeah. You might be aware that Malawi is one of the countries that is heavily affected by natural disasters. I liked the point that William raised with regards to insurance. So Malawi, being one of those countries which is prone to natural disasters, insurance is one of the tools that we have also embraced. There are films that are supporting farmers with regards to insuring their enterprises. There's MicroInsure, for example, that has been working with cooperatives and also individual smallholder farmers to support them in terms of insuring their enterprises. But apart from that, in Malawi, we have also been using special funds through the village savings and loans that we have been supporting. Currently, we are supporting about about 1,700 village savings and loans that have been mobilized across 8 districts. So in each of these village savings and loans schemes, we have also ensured that there is a component of insurance, because the majority of these people that we are working with are smallholder farmers. So this has also proved to be a very useful approach in terms of the members being able to get help whenever they have experienced a shock. Right now, what we are trying to do is to look at the possibility of also digitizing the schemes so that the members, when they need a service, they are able to do that remotely in the face of COVID. That's what I can add from Malawi's perspective. Thank you, Letitia.
Thank you very, very much, Mwai. This brings us to now the session around questions and answers. We have been having people in the background who have attended this session, and there are several number of questions in my chat box, and I'll be reading them to the panelists for them to be able to respond. And this goes out to any of the panelists. So the first question is, how do we get more youth voices heard? And how can we empower them to speak up? Rabina? You want me to repeat the question? I can.
Letitia, thank you very much. I was unmuting myself. So okay. I think that organization is very important. The youth need to be supported, to be organized in order for them to have a stronger voice and guaranteed a seat at the table. The organization, their coordination has to be supported. You know, I see many successful examples of African youth entrepreneurs, both men and women, who are working along the value chain. I think that they should be supported to be able to collaborate in a profitable and rewarding way, rather than having them working in silos and competing with each other. And I think that in doing that, in supporting them to strengthen their coordination, they will have a better voice and have one voice and be guaranteed a seat at the table. Another thing I think that they need is mentorship. You know, I once spoke to a lady farmer who started a rice farm, and she said that at the time that she was starting the farm, she realized that farming is not just about putting seeds in the soil and growing, and that she realized she needed a lot of hand-holding, which she didn't have. There was no place to go for support, but then it took smallholder farmers in the community that she was farming to handhold her and guide her in terms of the process and what to do. So mentorship is also very important. And I'm very glad that that came out strongly from the reports that Heifer just launched.
Okay, thank you very much, Rabina. Another question is that, does Heifer work within and out of school youth? If not, how do we get both in and out of school youth involved? This question is from Ande Okiro. William?
Yes, thank you very much, Andy. Yeah, you put a spot on. Yes, indeed, in our program, we work with both the in-school and the out-of-school. In fact, the numbers which I've talked about, close to 80% of those numbers are out of the school, yeah. And for the in-school, we really largely focus on those skill sets which then prepares them for the job world. Like I said, the soft skills, okay? You know, being able to communicate, being able to, be confident, understand how to negotiate, understand financial literacy. That's extremely critical. And then for the other cohort out of the school, we also go a mile further to support them have the technical skills which can enable them to either create a job or be employable. But in that question, the other aspect which possibly I can talk about that Andy is also flagging, that we notice that at all levels, it's very important really to provide mentorship and incubation services. Again, I think it's Rabena who talked about that. That's critical, whether you're working with the in-school young people or the out-of-school young people. The incubation service and mentorship services are extremely very central. Letitia.
Yeah, thank you, William. Another question is, I'm hearing an echo. How will we exploit the potential for agriculture sector to create employment for the youth? How will we exploit the potential for the agriculture sector to create employment for the youth? Why would you like to take this one?
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much for that question. So in my view, I think there is need for collaboration between different stakeholders so that we are able to address the three specific issues that the youth raised based on the report that HEFA has just launched. The youth pointed out land is a critical issue. They also mentioned capital and the access to agriculture technologies. When we were doing the launch, in our case back home in Malawi, what came out clear from the discussions that we had was that land is something that has been acting as a barrier for many youth to enter into the sector and be able to get employment by employing themselves. We had a number of stakeholders that were part of the discussions. For example, we had people from the commercial banks. We had also people that represented the donor community. We also had the young farmers and youth organizations. Let me mention that in the report, you find that in the case of Malawi, it was highlighted that only 17% of the youth mentioned the land as an issue, but as an issue that is hindering them to get into agriculture. But during that discussion that we had with the stakeholders, the youth that were there were so much interested to discuss the issue of land because according to them, it's something that is pertinent. Malawi is one of the countries where land is very scarce. We have a population of about 18 million people. And we are the smallest country in the southern part of Africa. So what that if we are able to get loans, as the Penina mentioned, and also William has been highlighting on this, that if there is a way of ensuring that youth have cheaper loans, most of them would be able to, those that are interested, would be able to buy land, and even those that don't have the means would be able to rent land and be able to establish their enterprises. This would create employment for the youth. So it requires also government to come in so that issues to do with the land allocation could be considered as the critical elements to ensure that youth are able to venture into agriculture. It's also something that we need to consider very critically as stakeholders, taking into account the fact that in most of our work, development work that we have been doing, we have tended to, when we are conceptualizing projects, we tend to look at the targeted community only, leaving behind input from the youth, input from even those that are physically challenged. it is my feeling that if even at the conception level of a project, stakeholders could come together, discuss, and share information. It could help in terms of the design of the interventions that can help to address the three issues that I talked about and have been highlighted in the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mwai. You have touched around the financing aspect of it, and this brings me to the next question from one of our attendees. The financing gap for African women in agriculture value chains is estimated to be $15.6 billion, according to the Africa Development, I think it's Bank, not GAP. How best can financial institutions and key stakeholders in the sector bridge this gap? Rabina, would you like to take that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Letitia. I think the solution to the finance issue is to reduce the cost of borrowing. At the moment, cost of borrowing for agriculture is ranging from 30 to 40% as interest that needs to be paid back. And that makes it difficult, especially for women, to borrow because they do not have collateral, and many of them do not even have access to large farmlands, right? So we need to strategically and intentionally make the deliberate effort to come up with innovative financing that is cheaper and also reduces the risk borrowing, but then also that support and mentors those who are borrowing to be able to be successful in whatever businesses they are doing. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabina. And this is another question, that at what stage of the value chain does HEFA give funding? Is the funding a grant or a revolving fund or a loan? William, would you like to take that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Letitia. If you can allow me to add on the question you asked also, why. So the other way which I think we can also engage young people in ag is to make agriculture cool, okay? Maybe we need to borrow some concepts from the entertainment industry. All these superstars, they are glamourized and, and taken in high regard. How can we make these young entrepreneurs also become celebrities in some sort so that they can really pull and encourage other young people to get interested in agriculture? In any case, when you look at our study, it indicates that most of the young people are lacking information. They do not know where to get the information. But to the question that you've asked me, Letitia. So the way HEFA funds enterprises, yes, it's a combination of grant and also looking at market finance, and market finance can be in so many forms, either linking to commercial banks. So in other words, we could support those enterprises and then organize them and prepare them and then walk them to the bank so that they can be funded. In other words, what we always do is to ensure that we make them to be bankable so that the financial institutions can come in and get interested to fund. And we've done it on a number of initiatives that we are working on our youth project. In Uganda, we currently working with a bank called Postbank. We collaboratively opened up together with Postbank a revolving fund, and Postbank has so far funded young people's enterprises to the tune of about $500,000 US dollars, money given out in terms of loans. But also from the other perspective, which is the third tier, we have an impact investment fund within HEFA, which we call HEFA Impact Fund, Impact Capital, sorry. And through that window, then we can come to invest in some interesting young people's businesses, so long as we get guaranteed of getting the social impact in many respects. In this case, for us, our interest is usually to ensure that jobs are created, that incomes of the smallholder farmers can be closed. So those are the three windows through which we can invest in agribusinesses of young people and smallholder farmers.
Yeah. And there is a quick question that comes directly to you, William. How is Heifer dealing with high amounts of aflatoxins in the soya and other products in Uganda?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, for largely the soya, we definitely, as we work with young people, we definitely teach them the GAP principles, the general acceptable good agricultural practices and principles. And we collaboratively working in the project I talked about. We collaboratively working with Makerere University, especially the Faculty of Agriculture. But the key intervention is to ensure that there's good post-harvest handling mechanisms. In other words, how best a young farmer is able to harvest the bean, and how are they able to dry it. So supporting them to get access to like grain testometers is very important. Being able to support them to get access to goonie bags, pit bags, which can then store their grains very, very well, are some of the things which we're working on. But yes, I agree, the aflatoxin issue is a big challenge within the agriculture sector in the country. But in our case, like I've said, those are the things which we work on. You know,
yeah.
General acceptable agricultural principles, which we teach young people, ensuring that we can also give them tools which can enable them to improve on post-harvest handling and storage of the grain.
Okay, thank you very much. And the final question goes to any of the panelists. Heifer International is well positioned to galvanize partnerships and strategic alliances. But what else should we be doing to better support stakeholders in the sector? So any of the panelists can take this question. What else can Heifer be doing to better support stakeholders in the agriculture sector?
Yeah, thank you very much, Letitia, for the question that has come from one of the attendants. As we highlighted in the discussion, one of the things that Heifer has been considering doing is to, or has continued to do, is to ensure that there is a collaboration between the development players in the sector, coordination, networking among the stakeholders will be key. Apart from that, we have also highlighted in the discussion that it would be good not only for Heifer providing support, but Heifer also needs to learn from the other stakeholders that are doing something in the sector. The report, for example, that Heifer has just launched talks about a number of areas that not only concern Heifer, but different players in the sector. The commercial banks, microfinance organizations, those that are into insurance. It has talked about financing. It has talked about even the work that is being done by colleagues in the youth programming. So it requires all of us to work together as a team, and through that we'll be able to provide the necessary support to the youth. Apart from that, it's also important that we continue to provide each other with access to information regarding what we are doing. This could be done by, for example, digital means. The report that Heifer has just shared, has just launched, it's it has been uploaded on the web-based platforms. So other organizations have also done the same, are doing it. We need to share that kind of information. The findings that are in the report will help a lot of stakeholders, including government, including all those that we have been talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mwai. And before we wrap up this session, I would like us to watch a small video from Penina Wanja introducing the DigiCow. So you see?
My name is Penina Wanja. I'm the founder and the AMD Farming Tech Solution, but we are popularly known as DigiCow. I was born into a farming family. My mother was a small-scale farmer owning just one cow. And I normally say the cow was poorly managed, because every time we had a visitor, my mom could call me, kindly go and milk the cow, and we could milk just a cup to make tea for that visitor. And by the end of the day, the cow didn't have any other milk. And I loved agriculture from the word go. I loved being with that cow. And after graduating from high school, I chose to do a course in agriculture, and I did agricultural extension. When I graduated from college, I joined the Ministry of Agriculture as a government extension officer, and I got a chance to work with other smallholder farmers who were basically almost like my mother, and also became a small-scale farmer myself. And this is when I realized that there's a lot that needs to be done so that the farmer can improve on how they're doing production. The biggest challenge that I faced was farmers not making data-driven decisions. They kept on a cow that was no longer profitable for them because they didn't have any information regarding that cow, despite them having that cow for several years. The other challenge was access to information that is verified and when the farmer wanted. I remember when I visited some farmers, they told me, you have taught us very well, but do you know we don't need that information right now? In 6 months' time is when we are going to get calves. Who will come and teach us? And I realized that farmers need information. DigiCow was anchored around this, and we are providing solutions towards these challenges. When our vet comes to the farm, not only does he do the treatment, the vet has to do actual extension work, and he has to advise the farmer. Initially, the farmer was rearing his cows in a previous shed where the floor was not very friendly towards cleaning, and the farmer was advised on how he can do an actual construction, and we can see that the farmer has adapted to that. We have worked with Heifer International since 2020 in December, and the bridge that the partnership was coming to bridge is to ensure that the farmers are able to adopt to accessing information, and Heifer played a very big role in helping change the farmer attitude and the farmer position when it comes to digital trainings. We were able to train over 35,000 farmers using interactive voice responses and the app. We were able to include the youths. Initially, we didn't have the youth model, and we were able to use the youths who could go down to the farm and support the farmers adopt to these digital platforms. Currently, we are still working with the youths to further make our product better, and this is how the group training came about, because we realized we are also missing out on the female farmers, and we realized that the female farmers are more comfortable working in groups, and we were able to actually develop the group training feature. The system is able to raise a code, and this code is very unique to that trainer. It's unique to that group, it's unique to that venue. And when the code is raised, the farmers are able to dial that code, and this now forms the digital register. Real-time backend, we are able to see who is the trainer, who are the farmers, where are the trainings being done. And we use this platform to also train on behalf of other clients, like the corporates, the NGOs, and also government projects. We are able to actually take advantage of these kind of partnerships, like the public-private partnership we are currently having with the counties and the World Bank, partnerships with Heifer International that actually gives you a lot of visibility, and you find other people in the ecosystem gaining more trust. So currently, as we speak, we are at a position where we are ready for For a big scale up, the youth are playing a very critical role when it comes to agriculture and technology. This is because they are very agile and they are able to actually adapt and grasp what is happening, and they have become the bridge. When I talk about DigiCow, the youth is actually the bridge between us and the majority of the farmers whom we know are almost above 60 years old. And the biggest role they are playing is to support these farmers adapt to the digital technologies. I would not trade my career for anything. I honestly have a passion in extension.
That was a really powerful video from Penina. Thank you very much for providing us with that video. With that, we are approaching the end of this event. And before I welcome Elise, the country director for HEFA International in Rwanda, to give us his closing remarks, I would like to thank everyone who participated in this event from start to finish. And I would like to thank everyone who supported us in the background in terms of technicalities of this event so that we could stream live. Elise Kamanzi, welcome to give us your closing remarks.
Thank you, Leticia, and thank you all the panelists and other contributors to this discussion. Maybe first thing coming first, I would like to add a little bit of thank you, a vote of thanks to the AGRF and partners who made this summit possible. Actually, this is an opportunity to take the voice of African agriculture beyond the horizons. And second, I wanted to thank HEFA International for this wonderful report, which unveiled challenges and solutions that we have on the continent. I actually call this report the voice of the communities. And I think it gives opportunities to whoever stakeholders and partners who aim at investing into agriculture. We have had a wonderful discussion. I will come back to key highlights and possibly summarizing key takeaways. From the discussions and the panel comments, presentations we have just listened to, it's becoming much clearer that Africa holds the keys to the future of agriculture, not only on the continent, but also globally. As we are talking of embracing technology, I could even go beyond and talk about not only the keys, but also the passport. We are into a very complex environment. Challenges are becoming immense, but agriculture on this continent holds the biggest solutions that can reach the scale and transform the continent economics in general. However, for that to happen, mainstreaming Africa youth, not only youth, but also female involved into agriculture will be very critical to unlock these possibilities. For the possibilities to take place and actually become live, we need to deliver on certain number of components which are intrinsically related. There are so many priorities that need to be focused on to make agriculture very attractive and become a destination for job seekers, for professionals, for agripreneurs. We can talk even of innovators into the sector. Just to cite a few examples, we have listened to DigiCow, which is just one example of among so many other innovations on the continent. We have touched a little bit on the impact of COVID, that COVID has brought into the sector, but also there are opportunities and innovations that we can leverage and ride transformation as far as agriculture is concerned. Coming back to the youth require improved training. They require skills. They require a lot of education. And this capacity development that are needed on the continent should include as well linking the youth population to real opportunities within the countries, but also across the continent. We have seen how technology can help us achieve that. And it's up to the stakeholders into the sector to actually take advantage of that and make things happen. Moving forward, organizations must also constantly seek to design and implement programs that meet the needs of the market. To drive the ground-up approach to innovation in Africa's agriculture sector, attracting and retaining Africa's educated youth is becoming much more paramount. It's not just a leisure, but it's becoming a necessity. Youth engagement as well in agriculture and agriculture value chain will help Africa, will help us to stem Africa's brain and limit actually the migration crisis. We all know about what is happening in the Sahel. People just crossing the entire desert, moving towards European countries. Yet there is a lot of opportunities and potential that can be leveraged into agriculture and retain this youthful population from venturing in this risky kind of journeys. We need just to inject as much as we can. We need to inject both knowledge, innovation, and technology into the sector to retain them. We have seen experience of youthful innovators on the continent. Their entrepreneurial spirit, which is a visible sign of that appetite for the youth to transform agriculture on the continent. I can just cite a few examples. We have listened to Penina from DigiCal. There are many others investing in different technologies. As we speak of COVID and the challenges brought about, actually providing solutions for digital extension, digital training to farmers is one of the opportunities that young generations, innovative and entrepreneurs, young Africans can bring as a solution to make agriculture even more successful. I may close my comments by just paraphrasing the comment made by the Senior Vice President for Africa Programs, the Hey for Africa Senior Vice President. As much as we have challenges on our continent, and coming back to agriculture, challenges are several, but there is as well opportunities. And those opportunities can make a difference, a huge difference. The HEFA report that we have just launched demonstrates that technology, not only digital technology, but also other sort of innovative technologies can make a difference on the continent and make a shift into the economics of our continent. Youth represent actually another opportunity into agriculture. And if we invested correctly into youth, that will become a game changer for the generations to come. With that, I may say, reiterate my thanks for the organizers, for different stakeholders who have participated, for the panelists who have shared vivid examples and practical experience of what is happening on the ground. We'll not forget to mention our online participants, who will become now the multipliers of the message that has come out of this session. With that, thank you. Looking forward to a transformed African agriculture.
Thank you very much, Elise Kamanzi, Country Director for HEFA International in Rwanda, for those wise and closing remarks. Thank you everyone for participating in this event and for making this event very lively. And I wish you a blessed week in Nairobi or wherever you are in this world, in participating in this AGRF. For the whole. Can you hear me? Oh.
Yes, you are back.
Oh, sorry about that. I was just thanking everyone for participating in this event and for Elise to give us the closing remarks. I wish everybody a blessed week and a good participation in this AGRF event. With that, our event has come to an end.
Thank you, Leticia.
Thank you, Leticia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Toyosi.
You,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.